What up, Raf leaders? Welcome back to my channel. Just for reference, this is David Rose Street in South Roundvelt Gardens. As you can see, that's David Rose Street here in South Roundvelt Gardens. We've seen this neighborhood before, but what we haven't done is we haven't seen this new neighborhood that's going on south of South. This is in Houston. So we're going to take a walk down south of, this is David Rose Street, south of South Roundvelt Gardens into Houston, and see what's happening in this neck of the woods as far as housing development. So all of this land used to be occupied, used to be Gaisuko land, right? This used to be sugarcane field, and just a block over, that's the new highway. You can see there's some fast moving traffic over there. Alright, there's some fast moving traffic. That's also where they're building the 4 Points new resort and Sheriff Hospital, General Hospital, and so on. On the other side, we just saw that is Floral Park, right? This is the Basu development, Basu and company developing a private gated community. And on this side, this is Houston, right? It's still mostly vacant land, which I suppose eventually will become houses and commercial property. But what I want to do is show you where the front end, the leading edge of housing growth, housing development is occurring in Guyana. This is a continuation of David Rose Street. Alright, David Rose Street, we've seen that's where it starts, it ends, that end of it goes all the way to Aubrey Barker Road and then across onto what used to be called the back road, which is now referred to as Mandela Avenue. Now, this David Rose Street has been paved in concrete, this part of it that is, and that's kind of a recent thing, probably within the last couple of years or so. And it's kind of a new area because 2 years ago there was no road. In other words, the East Bank Bypass Road, which is to the east of here, above, behind all of this bush, that was completed about a year ago. And this neighborhood is so new that there are no houses yet on, well, there's very few houses yet on David Rose Street. So what I want to do is to show you what's happening at the leading edge. In other words, this is land that should be available for housing development, and probably is, but it's probably already been given over to or sold to some private business company, business owners, and is now being developed as prime real estate that the average Guyanese cannot afford. So there are lots and lots of people. It turns out that the people who have been removed, who've been accused of squatting and removed from the land on the east, on the Linden-Suzac Highway, a lot of those people were indigenous people, Amerindians, First Nations people, and they are actually getting the short end of the stick. It's something that we're not really seeing a lot in the news, but in recently 20 children died in a fire in one of the Amerindian communities called Madia. You must have heard of it. There was a dorm fire that killed 20 students. Those were indigenous people, Guyanese indigenous people, Amerindians. So what is striking is the blatant disenfranchisement of our Amerindian population, and that means disenfranchisement in this case means that they are not given equal rights to housing, to access to water, electricity, and internet connections as the rest of society. There is definitely some discrimination, disparity in the resources that they're given access to, even though the land belongs to them. And so what is really grievous is the fact that their homes were demolished, right? Half of the people who were living in those squatting homes, or referred to as squatting area in Linden, half of those people were native Guyanese. They were First Nations, Amerindian people. This is a new house being built, or one is being built in the back and one in the front seems to be completed. Here on David Rose Street, the extension of David Rose Street. Like I said, this is a new neighborhood. This is the leading edge of development here in Houston. And some of this land has already been developed because it was given to private developers, as you've seen before. But a lot of this land is still vacant. Over here there's a building that I think is part of some kind of industry. We saw it at the beginning of this run. So this is David Rose Street, and these are the only two houses we've passed so far on the west side of the street. And on this side there seems to be some kind of industry. Let's see if we can tell the name and nature of this company. From what appears to be, morning, appears to be a parking lot. So, see, there's a lot of tractors, earth moving machinery, and so on. Gene Equip, or Gen Equip, right? So this is the Gen Equip base. Apparently they've built this warehouse in this neighborhood for, let's see, a number of operations. Can't really read them. You might be able to do that better in the video. But this is what's happening here. There is a number of, I guess these are types of equipment for sale, brands of equipment for sale, heavy machinery for sale. And this one is for lease, right? This one, it says, there's a sign here that says for lease, build to suite 2 acres, and there's a number on and an email address. Alright, there's a number and an email address. You can contact this number, 592-627-7261, if you're interested in leasing this land. And it says Houston Acres GY at gmail.com. Houston, Houston Acres, ACRESGY at gmail.com. So for those of you who are looking to build on what appears to be vacant land here in Houston, this is what you can get. Somebody else is also building. So I don't know what the zoning is for this, because it seems as if there's only heavy machinery and machinery equipment sales going on here on what I said was, good morning. Right, what I said is David Rose Street. This one says Samuel Trading. Oh, they want to show your ads on that billboard. So it's probably a piece of land that was owned by Samuel Trading. So this is what's happening here in Houston, guys. This is the leading edge of development south of South Ramville Park, South Ramville Gardens. right south of Ramvelt Gardens. And as you can see, morning, a lot of the area is undeveloped. Somebody started to build another warehouse over there, it seems. Beyond, of course, beyond this plot of land, there is the East Bank Bypass Road. I don't know if you can see some cars moving behind the bush there. Alright, that's the East Bank Bypass Road. That's a new road that was built here recently. And this is David Rose Street. Continuation of David Rose Street south of South Ramvelt Gardens. And like I said, this is the leading edge of development where they're building. On the other side, they're building, right on the other side, they're building the 4 Points Resort, and they're building Sheriff General Hospital and some mall, some kind of shopping mall, and a bunch of other things. But on this side, as you can see, lots of vacant land here in Houston. Now on the other side, this is the looking west. Looking west, you can eventually get, after about a mile and a half or so, you probably get to the East Bank Road and Demerara River, about 2 miles from this point. Right, so we're about 2 miles away from the Demerara River. Seems busy right now. I don't know where these people are coming from or where they're going, but it seems as if people are coming to work. It's about 8 a.m. Now it's about 7:30 a.m. in the morning on a Wednesday morning. Houston Estates. Now this is a road that's paved. I didn't even know this road was paved. Somebody asked me to take a look at Punt Trench Dam. I don't know if we're anywhere in that neighborhood, but as you can see, this road is new, but here is the reserve. It still hasn't been completed yet. So this is an industrial zone. Industrial zone. I'm going to investigate the East Bank end. So that's the end. It goes towards East Bank, and this is the end. It goes towards the new road. That is the new East Bank Bypass Road. But let's continue for a few more minutes on this one. This road is the David Rose Street, continuation of David Rose Street from South Ramvelt Gardens. We've come about, I don't know, quarter of a mile, maybe half of a mile since we started this video. Morning. And I just wanted to show you what's happening in this neck of the woods, that is in this south end of the city, Georgetown, where the development is happening. This is now beside we're running parallel to the East Bank Bypass Road, and there's some construction there along the side of the East Bank Bypass Road we'll examine in the next video on our way back. But this is what's happening here. Right, it's the newest part of the city. It's the Houston area. It's where development is happening. Right, new buildings are being built, and new construction equipment is being sold, and a lot of these companies are heavy machinery, earth machining, heavy earth machinery moving machinery companies that sell heavy earth moving machinery, and they've built a lot of their warehouses on this street. I remember there was a time back in the 1990s and the early 2000s when Mississauga looked a lot like this, right? Once you went, was it north of 401 in Mississauga, there was almost nothing. And of course later on, was it west of Mississauga, you got Milton. And those of you who are familiar with Ontario in Canada know what I'm talking about. You know, the phase 1 development, housing developments, and phase 2 and phase 3. So this looks like a phase 1 development that resembles what Ontario looked like north of the 401. And well, there have always been large neighborhoods or large communities that were pretty well established as you got closer and closer to Toronto. You know, places like Markham, which are north of Toronto, but around Mississauga, about 30 miles outside of Toronto, and Guelph, 50 miles outside of Toronto. Those communities were all, when you look around, empty land. Right? If you go there now, if you go as far as Kitchener, they're expanding. And so this reminds me of what Ontario looked like back in the 1990s and the early 2000s, 2001 to 2010. But of course, since then, a lot of development has taken place in Ontario. The city, I understand, Toronto is now, Toronto Metro now has 6 million people. So this is some new development. I don't know who's building here, but it seems as if it's commercial property, a commercial development going on here in Houston, David Rose Street in Houston. And so this is where a lot of the heavy engineering and construction companies are being built. This building seems like it might be residential, but because of the long flat roof, it looks more like a warehouse. So let's see what's happening here. It says CCA, so Houston Commercial Complex. Right, so this is Houston Commercial Complex. They're gonna have the Home Store Inc., Caribbean Lifts, CCA, Guyana Inc., and SCL. So CCA, Guyana Inc., Plantation Road Northeast. So this is what's happening here, guys. They're building a commercial development. They're putting some property out here for commercial businesses in Houston Estates. And at the end of the street here, some more buildings, new buildings on, was it David Rose Street? So this is apparently a commercial complex that is being built, a new commercial complex that's being built. You can see the parking lot and parking spaces already out there. So it's going to be kind of a shopping complex, a shopping center. I can see there's a home store that has already been put up on the board, a billboard showing which stores or which companies are being built. This is the end of David Rose Street, and here you have Amiga Atlantic, right? So this is Amiga Atlantic. Seems to be doing some construction, new construction here, and that's looking back where we came from towards David Rose Street. This is what's happening here, guys, in Houston, at the leading edge of development in Georgetown. There's a construction company. There's a construction company that's building. YouTube. So this is what's happening here in this neck of the woods. It's a fair amount of commercial construction, right? There's a lot of commercial construction in this neck of the woods. As we turn on this road, I don't even know if this one has a name yet. All right, but this is what's happening way out here in Houston, where a lot of the development is still taking place. This, for example, is some commercial buildings for a construction company. And on the other side, this road is a concrete road. It's also new, and it runs beside this commercial complex that they're putting out here. Is the home store and a number of other places. And we're heading towards the East Bank Bypass Road. We're about a mile, I suppose, or 3/4 of a mile from the start of the road. That is at the traffic circle in South Roosevelt Gardens, right? We've left Mandela Avenue. To get to this point, you're about a mile south of Mandela Avenue, right? We just walked beside it, and we're gonna walk back on the road. But this is what I want to show you is happening here in this neck of the woods. This is Houston, and this is what it looks like in 2023, where a lot of the development is taking place. So this is looking back at those buildings, right? These are mostly commercial buildings being built in this neck of the woods, Houston Estates. That's where it came from. That's it, guys. If you want to see more content like this, click like and subscribe. In the comments below, tell me what you think about development this neck of the woods. This is a billboard that says pre-construction lease warehouses. They're building warehouses in this neck of the woods. Like I said, a lot of these buildings look like warehouses. Looks like what north of the 401, say in Mississauga, Milton, looked like back in the 1990s and the early 2000s. This is the new Eccles. This is the new bypass road, East Bank Bypass Road. We're probably in a neighborhood of Eccles on the East Bank. Share this video with friends and family around the world. Let people know what's happening here in Georgetown, Guyana. Later!